We're back for another episode of Chicago Bears Now, and I got to tell you, it's a juicy one. Harrison Graham here with today's show. A draft analyst disagrees firmly with Merril Hoge's assessment of Caleb Williams. Ryan Poles reportedly loves Caleb Williams, the player, per a national NFL reporter and a local person in Chicago. The question now becomes, will he love Caleb, the person, as he goes through those evaluations? We got a busy show. Let's dive in here. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network draft analyst, has worked in front offices as well. He's a big fan of Caleb Williams. He called him the closest thing to Patrick Mahomes recently, and he completely disagreed with what Merril Hoge said on NBC Sports Chicago at Radio Row in Las Vegas last week. To revisit that, here is what Hoge had to say. The one thing is clear, Hoge says. He is not special. He's not something unique to a Patrick Mahomes or like a Patrick Mahomes, and I hope the Bears don't think, let's try to make up for our mistake when we passed up on Mahomes and go get him. The kid is not Patrick Mahomes. He isn't remotely close to that. So Jeremiah on the Rich Eisen show today was asked about that assessment, and he said, I don't agree with him, talking about Merril Hoge. If 39 games isn't enough to evaluate Justin Fields, but 3 games this year is enough to evaluate Caleb Williams, it doesn't make sense to me. To me, he's the closest thing to Patrick Mahomes, and the reason he mentioned the 3 games this year is Merril Hoge admitted he's watched 3 of Caleb's games this year and 3 from last year, and that evaluation is enough to say he's not a good prospect. And let me be clear, I don't think he's Mahomes. Daniel Jeremiah says he's the closest thing to Mahomes. Again, I think with these experts and analysts and people like myself, evaluators, when they say like, oh, there's similarities there, that's what they're saying. They have similar play styles. Like you see the wild plays that a lot of the time work at the college level, sometimes get them in trouble. You see the arm talent. You see the ability to do things with his legs, both as a runner and as a thrower. So, yeah, I do understand all of that. Now, it is interesting when you look at the collegiate stats, because both of these guys played in very similar offenses, that Caleb, for the most part, had a better college career. Now, Mahomes had more volume because Caleb threw it a lot, but Cliff Kingsbury would throw it like 60 times a game with Mahomes. I mean, it was crazy. But the touchdown-interception ratio favors Caleb. Completion percentage favors Caleb. He actually ran a little bit more than Mahomes. Now, again, putting a side-by-side graphic of guys when they were in college at different times, like it doesn't mean that one guy's going to be better than the other or something like that. Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, this guy, for my money, is already the second GOAT. Like, Brady's still number 1. I think Mahomes is 2. But Caleb Williams has all the tools to be great. He really, really does. Like, he's big enough. He has a really strong arm. He can do a lot of different things. You look at some of those attributes that I'm starting to mention here, the elite arm talent. And what I mean by that is I don't just mean how far he can throw a football or how fast he can throw a football. I mean the different angles, the sidearm, the super quick release. Like you watch him play, that is a big difference, by the way, between him and Justin. And I love Justin. We've talked about that. Justin has a hitch in his release, even though he's tightened it up. Caleb Williams, snap, can get the ball out like that. He flicks the wrist and the ball is out. I mean, he really gets it out, which that 0.2 of a second faster in the NFL makes a big difference sometimes. He's experienced. He has a lot of production. He's an incredible creator in and out of the pocket. So Caleb Williams has a lot of attributes. Again, I think the Mahomes stuff is ridiculous. Like, he's going to be the next Mahomes. I think stylistically, he can do a lot of similar things. But do I expect him to win 3 Super Bowls and 2 MVPs by the age of 28? No, that is an unrealistic expectation. But in terms of the type of player he could be, I do understand it from that standpoint. Do not go anywhere. Lots more to talk about when it comes to Caleb Williams. But do want to talk about our sponsor, the Game Time app. Football season may be over, but there's still plenty of events to attend, like some Bulls games, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. Download the Game Time app right now. Use promo code BearsChat to get $20 off your first purchase. You see an example here of a game earlier in the season where Game Time is going to show you the exact vantage point of the tickets that you're purchasing, regardless of what the venue is. And that's important because you want to know exactly what you're looking at, what your seat is going to be when you arrive, especially if you're not familiar with a certain stadium or venue. Go check out Game Time right now. When you sign up, use promo code BearsChat. They get you $20 off at checkout. Link is in the comments and in the description. Just go to your app store, search Game Time, and plug in promo code BearsChat when you sign up. Now, with pros, there are cons, and I think a big one with Caleb is he does play hero ball too much. So did Patrick Mahomes, if you do want to tie it back to him. You know what Mahomes has really done, especially the last couple of years? He's reined it in a lot. Like, there was a play in the Super Bowl, and again, I don't expect Caleb to be Mahomes, so just, don't get that thought. But there's a play in the Super Bowl where Mahomes, I think it's in the overtime actually, he's winding up. It looks like he's going to launch one to the end zone. Then he sees Pacheco in the flat, takes the 4 yards, goes to the next play. Because he knows, hey, like, play-by-play, game's on the line. I don't have to force it here. That's something Caleb's going to have to learn. That's something Shane Waldron and Kerry Joseph and this offensive coaching staff will have to find a balance. You don't want him to never do that, but you don't want him to pass on easy completions either, which at times he does do that, which leads to him holding the ball too long at times and has led to some fumbles. He didn't finish 2023 great. I don't think that's a major concern. I think a lot of that was a result of him chasing because their USC defense was so bad. He felt like he had to score on every drive. And I think the last one, which is one the Bears will obviously, I think, harp in on, is at times, not a lot, there is poor body language. Now, that's me looking at a TV, right? A lot of the character questions that have been described from teammate and coaches have been nothing but positive. So I'm not going to put a ton of stock into that. That's just a question I would ask about. Like, hey, like when things aren't going great, here's a clip of you appearing to sulk a little bit on the sideline. Can you describe what's happening there? I'm guessing what he would say is, I'm a hell of a competitor and I hate losing, which I would love to hear that. But and then my response would be like, I love that. At times, you got to be the guy that keeps the energy up on the sideline, though. And you would think as a young player, he will grow in that area moving forward. In the end, dude, his floor and ceiling are incredibly high. Like, everybody talks about the ceiling. I think the floor's high. Like, I think he's a starter in this league, bare minimum, if the mentals check out. Like, if he's not a starter in this league, that's because he didn't want it bad enough. That's my opinion. And everything that you read and hear about this guy is like, the work ethic is there. That is not an issue. He wants to be great. You hear this story about when he's 10 years old, he's playing running back in Pee Wee football, and they lose a game, and he tells his dad, hey, I want to play quarterback because I want to control every play. Like, he wants to be great. He wants to win. He wants to be the best. Like, that's all you hear about this guy. All the red flags character. Like, if you don't like that he paints his fingernails, listen, man, if the guy could make all the throws and win me games, you can paint whatever the hell you want on your fingernails. I don't give a damn. Here's Ian Rapoport just minutes ago, by the way. The Bears would need crazy historic compensation, which he's talked about, to move off of number one. This is what's new. That's how special they think Caleb Williams is. He also said this later. The comp for Caleb Williams is Mahomes. I think he's just speaking for league circles. If you get one of those guys, you do whatever you can to get it and to keep him. Many teams in the NFL believes Williams is special. I think that part where he's saying they think he's special, not just like the league thinks he's special, the Bears thinks he's special. Like, if that's not significant, like, again, I'll say it. Ryan Poles is either playing the greatest poker game of all time. Like, you hear a lot of smoke this time of year, but, like, it's every day more crumbs are trickling out about how the Bears view this QB situation in Caleb Williams. So he's either playing an unbelievable game of poker or the Bears really like Caleb, and if they sit down with him and have dinner with him at the Combine and they like what they see and they like what they hear, they're probably going to draft that player. Like, this is Poles' chance to get his guy. Like Brian Poles said, I think Justin could lead this team. I like Justin. But if he thinks Caleb is special, like truly, and he signs off on the person as well, what's left to evaluate? Well, that's what's left. The human side of it, the person. Can he lead? Can he take the criticism of being the quarterback in Chicago? And he's going to get unjust criticism if the Bears move on from Justin Fields, because this city loves Justin Fields, and a lot of teammates and fans and people around this organization want them to keep Justin Fields. So he's got to be sure that Caleb Williams has the mental capacity to handle all that. But if he checks those boxes when they meet with him and they work him out privately and all that stuff, I think they're going to draft him. And that's kind of what David Kaplan of ESPN 1000 That's Kaplan with the K, by the way. So, David, if you're watching, that's on me. Little typo. That's not on my producer. I'll own this one. But Cap on ESPN 1000 said, someone I trust said that Poles is convinced on Caleb's ability. Now he's got to get to know him as a person. So, again, I do think, based on what we're hearing, the physical part of this evaluation is mostly over. And it probably should be, right? Like, they've had the entire college football season. They were probably watching this guy last college football season when they saw him win the Heisman Trophy. They've had a month since the season has ended to watch tape on all these guys. I don't even think Caleb Williams works out at the combine, but even if he does, even if he doesn't have a great workout, I don't think that's going to shift them off of Caleb, their evaluation of him as a player. The last check mark is he the right guy to lead this franchise? Because it's so much more at that position than just the ability to throw a football. You got to lead. Players got to gravitate toward you. And that's what's so tough about Justin. He has all that. He's checked all those boxes. And I still like Justin the player as well. And I think you could win with him. But if the ceiling and the floor are higher here with Caleb Williams and you think he can check those boxes as a leader and a teammate and a person as well, it's going to be hard to turn that down if you're Ryan Poles. And again, every single day we're hearing more crumbs. I mean, we hit record on this video and I saw another tweet. Or from Chase Daniel. I think they're going to draft him. It's all the time now. Again, it's either an unbelievable poker game by Ryan Poles or the Bears are heavily leaning toward drafting Caleb Williams.